I got it. I got it. Okay. Ring ring.
Hello, this is Saul speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, Saul, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Who am I speaking to?
This is John. I was just giving you a ring. I wanted to see if you were interested in possibly selling your property at 124 Main Street.
Oh no, it's another one of these calls. You guys out here. I think I got a call from like your friend like the last week. I mean, everyone's calling my phone telling me that they want to make a cash offer on my property, and but it's a bunch of fluff. Like no one actually comes back with a number. They give me a call, run me through the ringer. It's like a 10-minute conversation, and they always ask me these questions about why I want to sell. I'm like, well, you're the one that called me. Like, why do I have to answer that question?
Yeah, I understand that
Yeah.
completely. Um, well, let me ask you this. I really don't, I'm not sure that that was anybody that I knew because this was our first, first call with you.
Okay.
I would just like to know that what are you looking to do with the property? Because I wouldn't want to waste your time or anything like that.
Mm, Well, I mean, it is sitting vacant, so I guess maybe I'm on some list that somebody knows that we're not like the house. No one lives there, right? Um, it's been vacant probably since the beginning of maybe a few months into the pandemic of last year. So our renters, they lost their jobs and they just handed me the keys and said, "Hey, I know we got a lease for like another 6 months, but we can't pay it. We just got to go." So they moved back in with their family down in the Central Valley, so closer to Sacramento. And
Okay.
yeah, so we're in San Jose here. So I mean, I haven't rented it back out because I'm not sure when I gotta wait until June when this whole moratorium about not evicting people, because someone could literally go in there and get 3 months worth of rent free, and then probably another 3 months because I gotta drag out the eviction, right? So they just live there for 6 months, and I don't want that to happen. So I'd much rather just wait for 3 months and not do anything
Yeah.
until this whole moratorium thing passes.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
I have several properties. I have one person who's not paying, and it's a real pain. So I understand you on that part.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: whether whether I buy the property or not, I would just like to inform you there is a service that I'm affiliated with. It's called Checker, just check R,
Okay.
and it's not too far away from you. It's out there in San Francisco, and what they do is they provide screening and background checks, and even if you want to, drug tests, but that's more if you were hiring employees. But they
Yeah.
have very, very in-depth screening, and ever since I used them,
hmm
I haven't had any problems, even during the pandemic. Is that something that I, will be able to send to you, and just so you could check it out?
I mean, maybe we have a property management company that I'm sure they probably use those same tools. And so it wasn't us that they actually gave the keys to. They just handed the keys off to the property management company. I found out through them. So they kind of run their own screening thing. I personally don't want to be involved in that. I bought this house, as an investment. I just kind of kept it that way. So I kind of just read the monthly reports, make sure that nothing's crazy in terms of the expenses, and then, make sure that, the tenants are continuing to pay. That's pretty much it.
Right, got you. And
So
so the main thing is that you just worried about if you were to re-rent the house that they may not be able to pay for it.
I mean, or they just choose not to. That's ultimately, even if you run through the screening, people are, they're just doing desperate things, right? Times are getting desperate. I mean, everyone's over here running around with their, cheering about a stimulus check that doesn't even cover half their rent here, right? Rents, for single family houses out in Oakland, run anywhere between like, 2,000 to, $5,000, just depending on where in Oakland you're at, So
Yeah,
they're running out here, having a good time with their stimulus check, but they can't even pay their rent. That's just ridiculous, you know?
yeah, I understand. I understand
Yeah.
completely. Do you know anybody else that has had a house and the tenant didn't pay any rent on it, or
Oh, I mean,
I'm just trying to see, was
yeah,
it
there's a
anything
ton of
personal?
stories. Yeah, I know a guy down in Hayward. He had the same problem. Freaking tenants just stopped paying rent, and I mean, sometimes it brings out the worst in people. The guy was a pretty nice guy. I didn't know that he was a little bit of a racist until his tenants who happen to be, people of color, you know, you know, he started having these big tirades um, about people of that ethnic background, who they happen to be Indian. So they just went off on them, went ballistic because they just couldn't make the payments and they weren't cooperating with him. So it brings out the ugliness on both sides. So
Yeah, I understand that completely. It's a shame. It's 2021 and that kind of stuff still goes on.
yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah. So what I would want to ask you is that what do you think you want to, do more ultimately? Would you want to just sell it, or would you just want to wait to get
You
a
know,
tenant in there?
I mean, I'm local. I live in Berkeley, so just north of Oakland.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, so I'm not too far. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm thinking about just getting out of the rental game in California altogether, and maybe moving to a different state that has a little bit more friendly laws. Because I know places like Texas and some parts of the Midwest, they've already kicked people out. And you also have to have a heart too, right? It's not about just kicking people out and making money. Ultimately you're providing a service to people, a place to live and a place for them to call home. But I really feel like I got my hands tied behind my back here. So
Yeah, I completely understand you. There's always a lot of different options and what it is that you can do.
yeah.
I would say this. If you really would want to sell, have you thought about using a real estate agent to list it? That way you can get the most money for the property.
No, there's some clowns that have been calling me and telling me that they're gonna, sell my house for the most of the market, and the market's crazy right now, low interest rates. But those same clowns are gonna ask me to go and fix the place up, clean things up, remove some trash. I just, it's almost like I'm doing the work, right? And then when the people come in, I'm probably gonna be the guy trying to have to show the place. These clowns think that they deserve 2.5 or 5% on a listing. They don't even show it and set up open houses. Ridiculous. So I don't even trust them.
Okay, so let me pivot here, and just pay attention one quick second about what I'm gonna say. If
Okay.
you were to sell this property and you were able to get everything that you would want for it, what would
Mhm.
be your next move? What would you invest in another property? Are you moving?
Yeah,
What is it
probably
that you're trying
a
to
1031 into another house is my guess.
do? Okay, got you. 1031
Yeah.
into another house. Anywhere in
Yeah.
particular?
Like I said, probably somewhere in the Midwest. I'm probably going to leave California. I'm not leaving California, but my investments are leaving California. It's gone too bad here.
Okay, got you. I
Yeah.
understand completely. Where at in the Midwest? I got some family out in Cleveland.
I mean, I was thinking maybe some parts of like Oklahoma City, maybe some parts like Kansas City. I've heard those are pretty good areas too in terms of rent ratios. Missouri, those areas. I mean, do you have a pretty good do you have a pretty good understanding of, like, the Cleveland market maybe and like where that's going, like the rents and the prices for like what things can run out there?
Yeah, I have a good understanding. The thing about the Cleveland market is that you're not going to get the appreciation that you
Mm-hmm.
will in Oakland and Berkeley, but you will get the cash flow. Like I just picked up a 4 unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's bringing in 3,200 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and the price is only 100, $110,000.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So
Do you know if there's
I'm
anywhere else in the Midwest that kind of has a little bit of a blend where you can kind of see some appreciation? I mean, I'm not saying San Francisco, right? But I mean, you want to see some steady growth, but you also want to see good cash flow too. Do you know like any kind of blended markets like that?
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, so Clarksville is just 45 minutes outside of Nashville. And
Oh,
the thing
Nashville.
with
Okay.
Clarksville, it has a lot of appreciation coming to it. So
Okay.
imagine this, right? Imagine if you're in LA and the houses are 600, 700,000. But if you
Yeah.
go right outside to Riverside, the rents
Yeah.
are pretty similar to LA, but the homes are almost half the price. So
Mm.
that's kind of how Clarksville is. You'll have
Okay.
homes that cost 120, 130,000, but you can rent them out for 13, 1,400 a month in rent. So you're still going to meet the 1% rule.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So yeah, I know some investors out there and just different people that have properties that you can get at a good price. So if that's ever something that you're interested in, whether we do business or not, you can
Yeah.
just give me a call.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely would love to learn a little bit more about that. I know that a lot of Californians have run out to Tennessee too. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. If you were to, what are you hoping to get, for your property? Is it enough money to buy 4 or 5 property? Because if you're doing a 1031 exchange,
mhm.
it's going to have to be of a similar property. And if you're trying to go to the Midwest, I'm just trying to see exactly your strategy and
Yeah,
seeing how I can help you.
that's a great question. It'd probably be a multiplex then, right? In that case, because I don't know, unless I'm buying a mansion out in the Midwest, I probably wouldn't be able to find something of like comparison in terms of price.
Right,
So
right.
I probably
So
would have to
maybe
get like a 5 to 10 plex, I imagine. Is my guess.
and what will be your budget for that?
Well, I mean, the houses in this area that I'm looking at right now have sold, anywhere between, this is Oakland, it's not quite East Oakland, but it's a little bit north of that. But still, houses have been selling anywhere between about, $700 to $800,000, just depending on how high up the hill they are, past that main arterial, known as Bancroft. But,
Yeah.
I mean, probably something. I mean, honestly, it sounds like you're probably an investor. You're looking for a deal, and I can definitely make something happen on my end as well. If you could help me facilitate getting some decent cash flow and no problem areas, we could probably put a deal together, I imagine.
Got you. So you would say you're looking to get somewhere similar around there. Are
Yeah,
you
I got some
saying uh,
flexibility, but I'd say so. I mean, let me ask you this: you're an investor. You're probably be looking for the best deal, right? I imagine. So you probably, if you made an offer on my property, you'd probably start with $1, right? Or nothing in that case.
I wouldn't want you to hang up on me, but at the same time, if you want to sell it for $1, I'll gladly accept it. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
main thing the main thing with us is that just trying to see how we can make it work for both of us. So
yeah,
I know that I'm gonna have to, you know, put some money into the property and then resell it,
hmm,
and the best way is to use an agent, and they're going to cost a commission. So just having to make sure that it makes sense. And the way that we're able to purchase these properties is
hmm,
that we use private money. So
hmm.
we have another investor that comes in, then we have to pay them back 8% interest on their property. So
Okay.
um so we got to make it work for all parties involved, and every deal doesn't work.
Yeah.
I would say, just to give you some background, I bought a property, and this isn't, the area of Oakland that you're talking about, but I bought a
Okay.
property in East Oakland
Okay.
for 325, and then I
Okay.
put 125 into it,
Ooh,
and then ended up selling it for 615,000.
sounds like
So
there was no
that
juice
was,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was a little bit of juice. So we ended up making around 100K net on it.
Okay.
So we try to make something like that. I mean, everybody has to, come to an understanding and make some money on it. But it's not just about that. It's about, we were able to help the seller move on to uh, bigger and better things. We were able to help the homeowner move on to bigger and better things. So now
Hmm.
they're living in Las Vegas now, and they got some extra money in their pocket. They bought a house cash, and they went on from that. And that was a deal we just completed 6 months ago. So
Okay.
um, I would just have to see. I know that we wouldn't be able to pay 700, or I would just have to see. I would just have
Okay.
to see exactly. What would you say that, how much work does the property need if you had to put a dollar
Mm,
amount on it? Have you ever got a bid on it?
yeah, I haven't gotten bids on it, but I mean, I bought it, 20 years ago, and we've been fixing things up here and there as they came up, but it hasn't been like updated or renovated, if that's what you're asking.
Okay,
So, I mean,
gotcha.
I'm sure you have like the specs on like you can pull it up on Zillow, right? If you're like near a computer, you probably could pull up the specs. It's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, about 1,500 square feet, and there's also a basement.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I see it. I see it. I
yeah.
see it.
So,
Yeah. So just with something like that,
yeah,
um, I would say to get it fully updated. I mean, just to throw a number out there, I would
yeah.
think that we need maybe 125 to 175 to get it HGTV ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
There isn't any
So
foundation issues, if that's what you're asking. So we did the sewer lateral as well, at the time, and I recently checked that. The roof's in great condition. We replaced that 5 years ago. Sewer lateral is cleaned. We found there was a tree root that was growing into it, but we've since cut down that tree. We had the sewer line repaired, so you're good there. You don't have problems with any kind of backup. Electrical system, I mean, everything, like I said, 20 years ago, everything was looking good at the time when we bought it. So they were updated, in 2000. So you're not going to have challenges with the electrical. The heating has been actually, they converted it into a mini splits. And so didn't have central air, but at the time we bought it, they installed 3 mini split units, one in the living room, one in the bedroom, and then one in the other bedroom as well. And then one of them bedrooms don't have it for one reason, but we just kind of use it as a computer room anyway. So it's not a big deal, or we used it at the time. And yeah, I mean, it's just, ultimately it's, yeah, it's in decent shape. Like I said, it's nothing that you'd write home about, but I think 125 would probably be like a complete gut if I'm not mistaken, right?
It all depends, and I don't want to get too specific in the prices. It's just that lumber and renovations and things have went up drastically. Like my rehab,
Mm-hmm.
that I did on the west end,
Mm-hmm.
we thought it was going to be $80K, and it didn't need that much work. Pretty similar to yours, but
Yeah,
it took us a little while to get to the rehab just because we got backlogged with supplies.
mm,
And it ended up costing us an extra $25,000 because
gotcha,
the prices continue to go up just because of COVID and things like that. So whatever you
gotcha.
think is going to cost, it's usually more. Would you agree?
I mean, yeah, I know what happened with the Suez Canal, right? I mean, suppliers got slammed for like 10 days while that thing was just stuck in the middle. So just goes to show you how fragile our infrastructure is for like logisticals, right? Like you think that all these first world countries can put something together, but just one wrong move and you block a port or I guess a strait that I think a third of global commerce goes through. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And with that being said, and to add to that, so with everything, I don't know if we would be a good fit just because I'm a little, I'm not anything astronomically away from you on your price,
Hmm.
but I would think that we would need to be um in the, don't hang up on me after I tell you. It's gonna be in the 500K range. I don't know exactly where at. I would have to dial in my numbers a little bit more. But that's pretty much the range where we would be comfortable with the property just to fix it up. So let's just give an example. So maybe 510K and then 125K rehab budget. And now we're looking at 640, and then real estate commissions 5%, holding costs, carrying costs maybe another 40 or 50 grand. So that put us right up under 7, and then we're gonna try to sell it for 8, so we'll be able to make maybe around 100K, similar to um, the East Oakland deal that we had did. So we would want to be around that 500K mark, and I understand if that doesn't work for you, but that's just those are our numbers, and you may be able to find somebody that can pay more.
Hmm. Hmm. Is that the best you can do?
Yeah, we would need to be right around there. It, that would be how we could, how we can make the deal work, and that would be cash to you. We'll pay all the closing costs, um, and it'll be a fairly quick closing. It'll be a very easy deal. I already have things set up at Palladium Titles, so any deal that I send them, we can get it done quickly.
All right, well, let's do this then, Johnny. How about we hop off the phone, you sharpen your pencils, and you tell me what's the best you can do. I know that I'm not going to hold you to it, right? Absolutely. We're just having kind of a preliminary conversation here just to see if we're going to be a fit. But how about you sharpen your pencil? let's hop off the phone. You sharpen your pencil and you let me know what's the best you think you can do, and then we can reconvene the conversation say tomorrow.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that because I am no rush or anything. I can dial in the numbers some while we're on here. It's just that I do have a flight um that I'm gonna be catching and have some few more things that I gotta tie on my end, and I'm gonna be, out of town for a little while. So I am trying to pick up a property before I leave. So I would
Okay.
want to say that where what do you think? What do you think about the offer that I just made you? Are you comfortable near that number? I won't
I
hold you
mean,
to it. It'll just
think it's
be
low, right? I think you're a little low, but I mean,
what would be a good number for you?
I think we got to get out of the fives. I think we got to get out of the fives.
Yeah, this is this that that's that won't be possible for us. That won't be possible for us because we would lose money on the deal if we were to get out of that. Let me ask you this. So you said earlier that you think that the houses over there are going between 7 and 800, correct?
Hmm. Roughly. I mean,
So
roughly. I mean, I haven't. I've gone on Zillow. I've looked at a couple of houses, and we get the agent flyers telling us just sold, in that area. So, um,
So, so yeah, I just wanna work the deal with you so you can see what I'm seeing. So let's
yeah.
say if I were able, say if I paid 600 and you said it can go between, and I'm looking at it too, it can go between 700 to 800. So let's say we
Hmm.
sell it for 750, right down the middle.
Hmm.
So if I buy it for 600, what would you say? I say the repairs would have to be budgeted at 125. What do you think they're at?
I mean, I don't think there's really much you guys would have to do. I know that the appliances. I think you guys would have to get the appliances, to stainless steel. Windows would probably have to be changed out to something gridded. Roof's already in great condition, so that that saves you an extra 15K. The stucco has been resided to a smooth stucco, so it looks a lot cleaner. It's better. Um, we've done fumigation of the house within the past 5 years, so you don't have to worry about termites and things like that. Foundation's in great shape. In that place of Oakland. Oakland, historically has had some problems with foundations, especially with the post and pillar. A lot of those have had some challenges, especially with the perimeter foundations. Right. We've made sure to keep everything good. Keep those posts clean and make sure that we don't have bugs running around there. Chewing at that, causing problems. And the dirt in that area is actually pretty stable. So it's not like that porous stuff that you can like that clay that you see in some other areas. But
Right.
I don't think you probably. I think you might spend somewhere around maybe like $30,000-$40,000. Really bringing it up. I don't really see much, and you might have to paint the interior. You might refinish the hardwood floors in some of the areas. Um, you got some windows to change out, and then maybe you change out a couple of the doors and the fixtures as well as the hardware. Um, and then, like I said, kitchen cabinets and then new appliances. But I don't really think you guys would spend like 100 and something. I think that's a little bit much. I mean, if your contractor's charging you, you might want to go and look at someone else. I mean, I'm not even a contractor myself, but I just like the bit. That's a bit high.
Okay, let's play. Are you willing to play advocate with me for a second? Let's say that your numbers are low
Okay.
because you're the one selling the house and I'm trying to buy it, and let's say mine's just high. So let's say we meet in the middle with the numbers. Are you willing to analyze it with the numbers being in the middle?
Mm, no, because I would still think that's too high.
Okay, okay, okay. Would you be willing to? Okay, so let's just say this. I'm just gonna go ahead and run it with the numbers being in the middle, just to give us some flexibility and just say it here, even though I believe that it would be higher. So I'm just gonna run the numbers at 75K and just play with me here for a minute.
Okay.
So at say I buy it for 600K and then I put 75K into the property. That puts us at 675. Then
Hmm.
let's say if I sell it for 750. So at 675, paying 8% interest, and then plus another 5% for an agent.
Well, let me
So
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Johnny. It sounds like the selling costs and holding costs and whatever costs are causing you guys a lot of money. How much, what's that number look like if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know exactly what it's gonna be at, but it would cut into our numbers with the property. So
Right. So
I
what if you
would,
could mitigate those costs? I'm not
no,
saying I would, but I'm just saying, what if?
it still may not be that great for us, because
'Cause you,
we're very far apart on where we would need to be, and this is just the thing, we usually buy properties in that area for around that price. So for us to come up to 100K more, it wouldn't make sense for us. Where would you, just so I can have a clear idea, where would you be at exactly as
okay.
far as your number?
So like so I mean, just talking investor and investor, right? Let's just forget I own the house, right?
Okay.
Um, if so, you're part of your equation. It sounds like is you guys are essentially taking the sale value of the property. You're subtracting the cost of the actual home that you're buying, less your repairs, renovations, then your selling costs, and then you also your holding costs, right? But your holding
Hmm.
costs probably include things like taxes, I imagine, as well as your financing stack, right? So let's just
Yeah.
do the math real quick. So hypothetically, right, if you were getting a loan at say 500,000, the number that you propose, right, $500,000 at 8%.
Hmm.
Now, how long do you typically hold these projects for, if you don't mind me asking?
It depends on the project. I couldn't give you an exact number, but it all depends. Sometimes they can be 6 months. Sometimes
Okay.
they can be a year. It all pretty much depends.
Okay. How about we just run with something in the middle? Let's just say 9 months. Does that work for you?
I really wouldn't. This is okay. So let me ask you this:
Sure.
if we were, I want to kind of get off of the calculations a little bit here,
Okay.
and I would just want to more ask you, what would be the exact process that you would like to see happen if I were to purchase this property? Would you want to see us do what would be good for you as far as, would you want me to come in there and just get the property from you at $650,000 and potentially lose money on the deal? What would be, are you willing to try to make it be a win-win situation for the both of us?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. Like, it won't. The thing is, here's the thing, Johnny. Right? I'm a homeowner. You're a real estate speculator. Like, I can't feel bad if you lose money on the deal. That's your responsibility, right?
I understand.
Right.
I
I mean,
understand.
I'm not doing that. I'm not saying it to be cold hearted, but that's your line of work. Like, you're a real estate speculator. That's what you do, right? You take that risk, you incur that risk, and you run numbers and you run the calculations, and you look at the market in order to glean a profit from it, right? I'm just a homeowner looking out for my own interest.
Oh, earlier you said you were an investor.
I am, but in this case, I'm a homeowner, right?
No, come on, buddy. But when we're once an investor, we're always investors, right?
Well, if you told that to my wife, then I probably wouldn't be having any kind of trips or relations with like kids or anything like that. Sometimes you got to tone off the work and just go into family mode as well. So
Yeah, I understand. I understand that completely. What does she think about the property?
she's kind of like in agreement with me in terms of like what we want to do. It's so it's not she I actually bought the house before I married her. So even though
Oh,
it's a
okay.
shared asset, it's pretty much I'm making the decision on the property.